I've been doing this fragrance thing for several years. It's been at least 5 years now that I've been deeply and intentionally involved in the fragrance game. I've been educating myself, learning from experts, learning from other reviewers, my peers, constantly exploring and discovering new fragrances, finding stuff I like, finding stuff I don't like. And I've decided to do this crazy thing and document the journey on camera on a YouTube channel. So those of you who've been rocking with me since the very start, I cannot express to you in any effective way through this video how much I respect and admire and appreciate you and your viewership and your support. For those of you who have just joined either an hour ago, 3 months ago, even a year ago, welcome to the Fresh Squad. Really happy to have you here, really grateful to just have people to talk to about this crazy thing called fragrance and this hobby that we love to share. So I wanted to make a video about something that happened on this channel, a very, very important event that happened on this channel that I don't remember if I ever truly discussed after I had a chance to process it. So let's get right into it. 2018, I think it was around May of 2018, I posted my last video on YouTube. I said it in the video, this is my last one. It was a top 10 spring list, or it was summer list, top 10 summer list. And I said, this is my last video. I'm tired, I'm jaded, I'm getting out. And I had no plans of coming back. Fast forward to November of that year, I came back. So we're talking about, maybe 6 months off. And during that time period, again, obviously I wasn't making videos here on YouTube. I was still fairly active on Instagram. I was still kind of getting new fragrances here and there. But what came with that departure, which I don't know if I was actually explicit about in that video because it was in process, is that I got rid of almost my entire collection. I probably had almost 100 bottles, maybe more, that I had acquired over the past 2 years up to that point or so. Only during the time I took away from YouTube, I was able to start processing, man, why did I feel this way? Why did I leave? Why was I jaded? So I started to kind of dig into some layers. First layer I came to was the fact that there were several months leading up to my departure where I was really struggling to find something to wear every day. I had all my fragrances in a drawer. I would pull it out, they're all sitting there and I'm looking at them and I would struggle. It's like, man, I don't want to wear any of these things today. And I would eventually pick something and I kind of started gravitating towards the same like 10, 15 fragrances and the rest of them are collecting dust. So let me give you a little bit of context as to how this collection was built. And I know a lot of you guys can relate to this. Like many of you, my collection started to build based on the recommendations of other YouTube reviewers, kind of like myself, but this was even before I kind of started making videos and continued well into making videos. I was watching other people's videos and I was buying things that looked interesting. And not even that, honestly. Things that look like they were going to be appealing, because that is why a lot of us get into this game. Don't deny it. A lot of us get into fragrances because we want to become appealing to the opposite sex. And it's kind of presented as a bit of an easy button, especially in videos when you have some handsome people or some beautiful people on camera, having people smell stuff and saying, oh my God, that smells amazing. I would totally date that guy or date that girl. And then we're like, yes, I'm buying that now. I fell victim to that, just like many of you. And as a result, I built up an entire collection based on fragrances that simply smelled good. I realized I had like almost 100 different ways to simply smell good. And when I started to look at my fragrances critically, I realized, man, none of these are really all that different from each other. There's a lot of redundancy here. At the time, I was chasing a lot of the new flanker releases that brands were putting out, the new Prada this and the new YSL that, or the new Dior that, just chasing all the new stuff, especially as I had a channel because I was trying to keep up with all the reviewers who were also doing the same thing. And man, that is a soulless pursuit, let me tell you. You get that fragrance, you shoot that review, you may not even care for it, and then you just have it. And those things just kind of stack up. So I had amassed a collection that had no real meaning or value to it. It could have been anyone's collection. It was not Justin's collection. And that's what I wanted. Along the way, I had done a little bit of exploring, a little bit of going off the beaten path, found some niche stuff that I found interesting based on stuff on like Fragrantica or Base Notes or maybe another reviewer, picked up a sample. It's like, oh man, I like that. Let me put that in the backlog. and kind of acquired a lot of those fragrances later on. But mainly I was trying to fit in. I was trying to find stuff to be appealing and sexy and get compliments and all that stuff. Another big part of my collection at that time was cheapies. I would scour the rack stores and I would buy anything that looked remotely decent for a remotely good price simply because it was cheap. And I realized I had gotten like dozens of these
cheap ass fragrances
that I was not wearing anymore because they're all the same. They all kind of smell okay, but they're not really moving after about an hour or two on your skin. They're just like, eh. I was very, very jaded and very disheartened by my actions, by these things that I acquired that I thought I would enjoy and that would kind of boost my confidence and my self-image and kind of just make me feel good. I realized for me that seeking to buy the newest designer fragrance, and most of them, let's be honest, are flankers these days, is kind of an insane pursuit because designer brands are not seeking to give us something different. That is not their primary prerogative. Their number one goal is to fund their next release and continue to build profits. And the easiest way to do that, and this makes total sense in terms of business, is to build off of your previous successes. So hence why we get Le Parfum Nat, Eau de Parfum, Extreme, L'Intense, all these different monikers you throw on it with the new color on it, and oh yeah, we put bitter orange in here. I just saw today on Parfume that L'Homme Eau de Parfum is coming out. And I love L'Homme. I love the original. But I'm like,
do we need this? I mean,
I looked at the notes, I'm like, bitter orange, huh? Okay, it's not in the original. Oh, oaken barrel. Okay, maybe it'll be different. I have a hard time trusting these new releases now. What these brands are trying to do is clear. They lay their cards out on the table. They're not hiding anything, but we keep funding the cash cow. We keep that cow thriving and alive and eating well. I don't think that's gonna stop anytime soon, but I realized that I didn't want to be a part of that anymore because I was losing. It was a losing game every time. As I kind of alluded to, I got rid of most of my fragrances. There are about a dozen or so that I did keep. We have Creed Viking, Creed Aventus, Creed Vetiver Geranium, Creed Millésime Impérial. John Varvatos Vintage stuck around, and John Varvatos Artisan Pure. Actually, I did end up getting rid of that one a little bit later. Reflection Man, still have that one. Margiela at the Barber's, one of my first barbershop loves. I still have the original L'Homme, one of my first fragrance loves, period, as well as La Nuit de L'Homme, still love both of those. My original bottle of Raja Elysium, when it first came out, I was so honored to receive that from the brand. That blew my brain apart when I first got an email from Raja back in 2017. I thought I was nobody. We have the original Dior Homme, Fico di Amalfi from Acqua di Parma, Parfum de Marly Herod, which I did regrettably sell. I wish I didn't. I plan on getting that back. And Argos Pour Homme. Again, I started with the brand when they started. Ended up gifting that original bottle to a friend when they sent me a little 30 ml bottle of their new style. So I'm like, I don't need the full 100 ml. I gifted that to a friend who really digs it. So I built my collection up from that point. And I told myself, I want to have variety and I want to have fragrances that move me personally, that cater to my nuanced moods and personalities that differ from day to day, and that help me stand out from the crowd and not be, as you may have seen in my last video of What You Think You Smell Like, not be one of 14 dudes in one place wearing Dior Sauvage, but being the best smelling one. It doesn't take much effort to stand out. I want to say, there is no shame in wanting to smell good. There's nothing wrong with that. There's always a time and place for just that, for that easy breezy, throw on, fresh out the shower, something that just lasts a few hours, whatever it is, just to smell good for somebody, make a good first impression, whatever it is, in a casual way. But nonetheless, I'm still going to recommend that you can seek to diversify your collection. I think a lot of people are put off by niche, indie, luxury fragrances for two primary reasons. Number one, they can be expensive. Totally get that. Number two, they can be wildly different in terms of scent profile and not mass appealing. So as a result, people often have insecurity. It's like, am I gonna like how it smells? But sometimes even more importantly than that, are other people gonna like it? Are other people gonna dislike it? But in spite of this, I still recommend picking up a couple decants of fragrances that sound even remotely interesting to you, even if you're not sure you'll like them. I did that. One of the fragrances I discovered based on a whim, Bois 1920 Dolce di Giorno. Absolutely love that fragrance. I took a chance. I bought a decant because it sounded amazing, and I still love it to this day. If you're looking for recommendations on fragrances to help you stand out, to be a part of your collection that can be like no other collection of fragrances. I have recommendations in so many videos. Check out this video if you want to see the latest recommendations I would give to help you stand out from the crowd. I call them showstoppers. At least it's a starting place. That's what I try to do with my videos these days. I try to feature stuff that's not talked about everywhere else and can serve as a starting point. I'll also put the showstopper thumbnail in the end screen of the video. If you missed the card, you'll see it at the very end of the video as well, somewhere around here, along with maybe my head around here to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. So I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest. I realized I had never truly dug into that in terms of my reasoning, in terms of how I processed that situation, in terms of kind of what made me come back. I kind of found myself in my hiatus. Okay, that's it. That was a lot of brain vomit. So I would love to know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know where you're at in your journey. Have you struggled with this as well? Are you looking at your collection and you're like, man, yeah, I guess I'll wear a L'Homme Sport Eau Extreme again? I would love to know. Please share your experience. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.